certain town, there once lived a couple who had never had a child. They had been married for nearly 5 years and were very anxious for a son. The name of the wife was Clara, and of the man, Felipe. One night in December, while they were talking by the window of their house, Clara was crying when she said to her husband that she was going to pray the novena so that heaven would give them a child. She even added that she would let her son serve the devil if the devil would give them a child. As her husband was willing that she should pray the novena, Clara began the next day her fervent devotions to the Virgin Mary. She went to church every afternoon for 9 days. She carried a small prayer book with her, including her rosary, and prayed until 6 o'clock every evening. At last she finished her novenario, but no child was born to them, and the couple was disappointed. Nine months had passed, and to their great happiness, Clara gave birth to a son. The child they nicknamed Ido. Ido was greatly cherished by his parents, for he was their only child, but he did not care much to stay at home. He early began to show a fondness for traveling abroad, and he was always to be found in the dense woods in the outskirts of the town. These often leads to teary goodbyes and heartaches for his old mother. One afternoon, when the family was gathered together around a small table, a loud knocking was heard at their door. "Come in," said Felipe. "No, I just want to talk to your wife," answered a voice from without. And so, Clara decides to check on the man. To her fear, Clara saw a vicious-looking creature. "A devil!" she exclaimed. But the devil pacified her and said, "You must fulfill what you promised. You must give me your son." However, Ido was reluctant, but he was forced to go because of his mother's promise. The devil now took Ido to his cave far outside the town. The devil produced a large bag full of money and said to Ido, "Take this money and go traveling about the world. Spend this money only in doing good. I will set you free. If, however, you spend the money extravagantly, you will have to go to hell with me." But then Ido was transformed into a devil. Ido began his wanderings from town to town. Whenever people saw him, they were afraid of him. He was hit, battered, and people would refuse to give him shelter. He was called Peste and Salot. He was only treated good when he gave out money from the devil. After many years of wandering, he happened to come to a town. He saw an old woman summoned before a court of justice. She was accused of owing a sum of money, but was unable to pay it. When Ido paid her fine for her and thus released from prison, the woman could hardly express her gratitude. As most of the other people about were afraid of Ido, this woman decided to take him home with her. The old woman willingly offered him shelter and food. Now this old woman had 3 daughters. She told Ido that as a token of gratitude, he can marry the one he liked the most. She called on her eldest, and the eldest refused to be married. claiming that Ido was short and ugly. She called on her second daughter, and like the eldest, she refused to marry the ugly Ido. The mother was very disappointed, but she tried on her youngest daughter. When she heard her mother's request, she said, "I'll gladly marry him if it's the only way we can repay his kindness." The mother was very much pleased, but the two older daughters were very angry with their sister. The mother was happy with the decision of her youngest daughter, and a contract was signed between them. But before they were married, the devil Ido asked permission from the girl to be absent for 1 more year to finish his duty. She consented to his going and gave him a ring as a memento. At the end of the year, which was the last of his 7 years wandering, Ido returned to the devil and told him that he had finished his duty. The devil said, "You have beaten me. Now you have performed your 7 years wandering and have spent the money honestly. I will return your old face again." Time passed and he returned to the old woman's house. The two older daughters thought he was a suitor who come to see them. The old woman hardly recognized him at all. But when he showed the ring and asked for the hands of the youngest daughter, the older sisters nearly died with envy, and the youngest was glad that her handsome fiancé had returned. They got married and they lived happily ever after.